The NBA has always been a league full of surprises, but sometimes a player or team will come out of nowhere, make you think they'd be contending for years, only to disappear into the shadows, being irrelevant. Everybody knows the one-season wonder players, guys such as Michael Carter-Williams, Mike James, and the Aaron Brooks of the world, having career years only to fade into the sunset. A couple championship teams from this century one may consider a one-year window of dominance, such as the 2011 Mavericks coming out of nowhere when Dirk's time as a contender supposed to be done, bounced out the first round the year before, but given Nowitzki's greatness, Dallas were considered top contenders for years throughout the mid to late 2000s. 2022 Golden State of this decade, most surprising NBA champion, from being labeled past their title window after Durant left, lost in the play-in the season before. It was a combination of Klay Thompson's return, Jordan Poole playing his best looking to earn a new contract, and Andrew Wiggins playing his best two-way presence made the Dubs championship dreams possible. I wouldn't consider that team a one-season title wonder due to the greatness of Steph Curry, but after Draymond punched Poole, things were never the same. After these one great seasons, things were never the same for these franchises, starting with the 2004 Minnesota Timberwolves, the best squad in the Garnett era, won a franchise best 58 games, first season, KG's MVP year, the 7 seasons before that. Every loss became a first-round exit. The narrative heading into 04 was Garnett being an all-time great talent but wasn't a winner. Finally having some help, the addition trading for 34-year-old Sam Cassell and landing Latrell Sprewell gave the big ticket hope. Garnett finally in the conversation with Duncan as best power forward, arguably the best player all of 2004. After finally beating Denver round 1, everybody fell in love with the team. Round 2 resulted in one of the most thrilling semis with contending Sacramento. Garnett proved superior to Webber, winning Game 7 on his 28th birthday. All-star Cassell hurt his hip doing the big ball stance, leading to a fracture, became ineffective versus the Lakers, missing 2 of the 4 games, resulted in a 4-2 loss. Team ran it back the following season, but missed the playoffs, falling from the 6th ranked defense the season before to 17th. Both Cassell and Sprewell aged, Sam limited to 59 games, Latrell retired right after turning down 3 years $21 million, Flip Saunders fired after starting 25 and 26, Cassell traded to the Clippers for Marko Jaric, got rid of Wally Zerviak for Ricky Davis, a combination of extreme front office incompetency to the Joe Smith scandal, getting stripped of 5 first-round picks. Team also could have drafted future All-Star Brandon Roy, but traded him for Randy Foye. Garnett had no choice but to leave the franchise before another decade of dysfunction. 2004 Indiana Pacers won a league best 61 games, prime Jermaine O'Neal with Defensive Player of the Year, Ron Artest, 38-year-old Reggie Miller, the small market franchise led by their aging superstar during the 2000 finals run, followed by 3 straight first-round exits. Everyone thought it was over. New head coach Rick Carlisle took over for Isaiah Thomas. J.O. balled out like an MVP candidate. Young Al Harrington finished second for 6th man. Other key role players Jamal Tinsley, Kenny Anderson, and Jeff Foster made their strides. Swept Boston round 1. Took care of Miami semis. Up 1-0 conference finals to the defensive Pistons. A chance to tie game 2. Send it to overtime and potentially go up 2-0. Tayshaun Prince's miraculous block might have secured the title for the Pistons, allowing Detroit to hold off Indiana. Even the series, 1-6, taking down Ron and Jermaine, blowing an early 14-point Game 6 lead, watching their rivals knock off the Lakers in the sidelines. Indy retooled their roster, later trading for Steven Jackson. Artest played like an MVP candidate first week of the following season before Malice in the Palace happened, ruining Reggie Miller's championship hopes forever. Team ended up losing to the Pistons again, this time in the semis. Artest later traded early 06 season for Peja Stojakovic. Jermaine O'Neal later injury prone. Team wouldn't win a playoff series till 2012. 2005 Seattle Supersonics, the last relevant Seattle squad led by prime Ray Allen, prime Rashad Lewis, A 23-year-old Luke Rittenauer, the bruising Jerome James and Reggie Evans, six-man stretch forward power forward Vladimir Romanovich, and Antonio Daniels. After finishing 2004 with a 37-45 record, there wasn't much expectations. After losing their season opener, 117 of 20, winning their division title 52 games, their most since 2002, led by those Gary Payton teams. Allen and Lewis both named All-Stars, having a combination of outside snipers with physical front court in Evans and Danny Forson. The original Splash Brothers finished with the second best offensive rating, only behind Steve Nash's Suns, becoming one of the most overlooked teams in the 2000s, knocked off Sacramento round 1 thanks to Ray's masterful 32.4-point average, a 45-point game 4. Jerome James put up 17 and 9 that series after numbers of 5 and 3 all regular season, took revenge on Rick Adelman, who waived him 5 years earlier, got overpaid by the offseason Knicks. Team eventually fell to the eventual champion Spurs in a competitive 6. Romanovich sprains his ankle after game 1. No Lewis last 3 games. Following season, team declined heavily. Head coach Nate McMillan left for Portland. Team lost their defensive identity. No more Jerome James. Reggie Evans missed half the season. Forson just played 23 games. The entire interior defense collapsed. Won just 35 games. Then the injuries to Allen and Lewis made Seattle a lottery team, but that wasn't their biggest concern. Owner Howard Schwartz sold the team to an investment group from Oklahoma City's Clay Bennett. Failing to secure a new arena, franchise quickly relocated to OKC. Nobody knew at the time the first round series win against the Kings, the last in Seattle Sonics franchise history, still a more recent first round win than the Kings franchise themselves. 2008 New Orleans Hornets, led by 22-year-old superstar Chris Paul, MVP runner-up, took the lead by storm. From 39 wins the year before, David West became an all-star, Tyson Chandler, perfect rim-running center, and Peja Stojakovic, still a lethal outside shooter. Role players Morris Peterson and Gennaro Pargo made their impacts felt. Given CP still balling out 2025, 2008 easily his best regular season, numbers of over 21 and 11, almost 3 steals. 22-year-old Paul would be averaging 27 and 12 in today's standards. Dismantled Dallas round 1 before falling to defending champion Spurs in 7, viewed as contenders, expectations set too high, hampered by injuries 2009, Peja declined, Chandler missed 37 games, James Posey signed to a big contract, CP dragged his inferior team to 49 wins but got demolished by Denver round 1, overwhelmed by their physicality. Brian Scott fired early 2010. Paul missed nearly half the season. Team got rid of Chandler for the inferior, injury-prone Emeka Okafor. Made the playoffs 2011 before CP traded to the Clippers. To this day, Paul remains the most successful player in New Orleans franchise history. Given the dysfunction leading to the Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson days, safe to say the franchise absolutely cursed. 2009 Denver Nuggets. The league got impatient with 24-year-old Carmelo after 5 straight first-round exits, swept by Kobe's Lakers. Anthony's reputation as an all-star high-level scorer began to get questioned whether he's a true winner. To his credit, most of the teams he's lost to, like San Antonio and LA, went on to win championships. Being in a much tougher conference, the trade that sent past his prime Allen Iverson for Detroit's Chauncey Billups remains one of the biggest game changers, a true floor general and leader, perfect second option to pair up with Melo. Chris Anderson replaced Marcus Camby, team chemistry at an all-time high, earning the 2 seed, 154 games, mauled the Hornets round 1, dethroned the Mavs in 5, including a Carmelo Game 3 game winner, setting up a marquee epic matchup with Kobe's Lakers. A hungry Brian proved too much for Melo and Chauncey, playing the champions tough. The Billups-Melo tandem were supposed to dominate the West for much of the early 2010s. Things went great, both the two named All-Stars, but head coach George Karl got cancer, couldn't coach the rest of the season, lost to Utah round 1 with Deron Williams and Paul Millsap going lights out. Denver's bench got weaker. The lost season should have been seen as an anomaly, but after rumors of Melo wanting out, When Denver's still a pretty good team, things just got way too out of hand all throughout 2011. The trade rumors non-stop until after the All-Star break. Franchise traded him to New York for many role players. Denver, after Melo's tenure, still won many games, but all led to first-round exits until the arrival of Nikola Jokic. The rest was history. 2013 New York Knicks, more Carmelo Anthony. Team led by Amari Stoudemire first half 2011 with their key bench guys, eventually traded for Melo. 2 straight first round exits 2011 and 2012. Melo's continuous beef with coach Mike D'Antoni led to coach's firing, replaced by Mike Woodson. With Amari banged up and Iman Shumpert tearing his ACL, team made the unpopular decision to not match Jeremy Lin's Houston offer. 2013 a make or break year. Traded for Raymond Felton, signed vets Jason Kidd, Rasheed Wallace, Pablo Prigioni, Kenyon Martin, Kurt Thomas. Established leaders. Team revolved around 29 points a game. Melo finished third for MVP with 6-man winner J.R. Smith hooping. Chemistry and vibes all-time high. Amari played just 29 games. Team won 16 of his last 18, securing the 2 seed. Knocked off Boston round 1 before facing a tough Indiana team. Tyson Chandler getting sick. Dominated by Roy Hibbert. The classic Hibbert block on Melo ended all sorts of momentum New York had. All the role players had no more legs. New team president Steve Mills, then hired, led to many bad decisions. Acquired Andrea Bargnani for a first rounder. Jason Kidd retired. Team started out 2013-14, 3-13. Raymond Felton declined. Amari wash led to a 37-45 record. Things only got worse when team hired Phil Jackson to run the franchise, fired Mike Woodson, brought in Derek Fisher. Rumors on Melo wanting to play for the Bulls led to distractions. Elected to stay, 5 years, $124 million. Chandler and Felton gone, no more depth. A disgusting 17-win 2015 season, worst in franchise history. Melo played just 40 games with knee injury. JR and Iman Shumpert dealt to Cleveland for cap space. Melo stayed in New York 2 more years too long. Landed lottery pick Kristaps Porzingis. Carmelo already declining after 2015. Finally traded after 2017. 150+ win season. Considered a huge disappointment in the Melo era. Now the franchise in good hands with Jalen Brunson. Carmelo's 2013 season, a thing in the past. Many more good future seasons like these to follow for the Knicks. 2015 Atlanta Hawks, the most overrated 60-win team all time, super forgotten over the years, not expected to be great. Over under 42.5 games, lost Lou Williams, brought in Ken Bazemore, not much of an upgrade. Only won 38 games season before. Hawks had the benefit playing in the weak Eastern Conference. Realistically, LeBron's Cavs the only real contenders. No superstars, no egos. Well-balanced Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, DeMar Carroll, Paul Millsap, and Al Horford. When the offense breaks down, no proven guy to get a go-to bucket. Team went undefeated all January, had a 19-game win streak, 4 All-Stars. Everybody perfected their roles, considered the Spurs of the East. Coach Bud spent 17 years under Pop. Whole starting lineup won Player of the Month. Nobody averaged more than 17 points, but before the playoffs began, trouble started to roll. Thabo Sefolosha had his legs taken out by NYPD outside One Oak nightclub in New York City. Paul Millsap, Kyle Korver, and Carroll banged up, needed 6 games to knock off the weak Nets. John Wall also missed several games round 2, with an Al Horford miracle putback to knock off the Wizards. Not too impressive. This team would get absolutely obliterated by LeBron and J.R. Smith.
Come on, man! That's too easy!
Atlanta had no extra gear in the playoffs. Horford elbows Dellavedova. Korver out last 2 games, destroyed in embarrassing fashion. This same team won 48 games the following year, swept round 2 by, of course, LeBron's Cavs. Al Horford then gone to Boston, another first round exit. Then came a 24-win 2018 season, rebuilding from scratch, leading to the Trae Young era. 2018 New Orleans Pelicans, led by 25-year-old Anthony Davis, team failed to make the playoffs previous 2 seasons, acquired DeMarcus Cousins the year before. The addition of Rajon Rondo changed the dynamic of the squad. Cousins and AD absolutely devastating front court, but after playing 2/3 of the season, DeMarcus suffered a season-ending devastating Achilles injury. Team acquired sharpshooter Nikola Mirotic, finished 48 wins, good for the 6th seed. The defense of Drew and Rondo absolutely suffocated Dame Lillard and CJ round 1, while AD did whatever he wanted against the inferior Nurkic, led to one of the most shocking yet impressive first round sweeps, ran 3-seeded Portland out the gym. First team 2018 to advance round 2, Davis' masterful 47-point closeout, received MVP chance. Of course, no match for Golden State, falling in 5. Following offseason, Cousins didn't resign, took his talents to Golden State. Rondo signed with the Lakers, AD signed with Clutch, leading to the beginning of the end of his New Orleans tenure. Demanded out in January, half-assed second half of 2019 season. Even without those trade demands, Davis missed 26 games, Holiday 15, Mirotic 29, New Orleans 33 wins, resulting in the end of the AD era, landing #1 pick Zion Williamson. Franchise since remains one of the biggest joke last 5 years. Davis absolutely made the right call getting out of New Orleans. 2018 Minnesota Timberwolves, 13 straight seasons without sniffing the playoffs. From the Phil Garnett era to Kevin Love not even able to drag the franchise to a 500 season, Andrew Wiggins underachieved 3 seasons as the #1 pick. Karl Towns finished year 2, put up 25 and 12. Under Tom Thibodeau, franchise traded Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and draft pick Lauri Markkanen for the unhappy Jimmy Butler, forming a new Big Three. Minnesota even labeled next on deck after Golden State to become the next dynasty, had a 36-26 record, but suffered a meniscus injury late February. Team went 8-9 without him, needing to win his last 3 to make the playoffs. Played young Jokic in the Nuggets last game of the season to clinch the 8th seed years before there was a play-in. Butler had 31, surviving in overtime. Despite losing to the 65-win Rockets in 5, the future of this Timberwolves squad seemed bright until weeks before next season. Butler had a falling out, heated practice, cursed everybody out after already demanding a trade. Being 28 years old, Towns and Wiggins still young, his timeline and approach didn't see eye to eye with his young guys. Jimmy traded for Robert Covington, Jared Bayless, and Dario Saric. Team fell 2 games below 500 halfway through the season. Coach Tibbs, also president of basketball operations, fired. Scott Layden gave 32-year-old Ryan Saunders the interim job. Wiggins only got worse, played with zero passion, leading to a 36-win season. Saunders arguably the worst coach in franchise history. 2020 finished 19-45, landed #1 pick Ant Edwards. Wiggins dealt to Golden State for D'Angelo Russell, ending the Wiggins era. Team finally became relevant under Chris Finch and the rise of Ant-Man with Cat becoming more mature. No star player experience, more of a roller coaster ride between 2018 to 2024 than Karl Anthony Towns himself. 2023 Sacramento Kings, on verge of destruction. Fox's trade demands sounds very similar to Anthony Davis 2019. From longest postseason drought in league history to one great year wonder, now potentially on another endless rebuild. The longest title drought, 73 years and counting, not since the Rochester Royal days. From lighting the beam to running out of steam, snatching Mike Brown from Golden State and firing Luke Walton made all the difference. From a 30-win season to 48, the Halliburton-Sabonis trade made sense for both parties. Lethal offense of Fox-Sabonis two-man game made them unstoppable. With the right role players, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, and Malik Monk led to the best offensive rating. On verge taking a 3-1 lead on the defending champs before typical Harrison Barnes happened, leading to a Steph domination Game 7, ending Sacramento season. Team elected to remain the exact same as other offenses caught on. Franchise simply stayed complacent, didn't address Sabonis' defensive flaws, didn't add another big man to take pressure off him. Team was still a first-round exit anyway. Remains one of the worst defenses today. Continued to struggle against good teams, fell to the 13th best offense when scoring was their bread and butter. Lost in the play-in despite being healthy. Team then elect to trade for DeMar DeRozan, an ISO scorer, but ball dominant, not a spot-up shooter, bad defender, took away floor spacing, Herter and Murray went from 40%3-point shooters 2 seasons ago to barely 30% now. An absolute travesty of a downfall. Their role players being way too one-dimensional, their once promising 2023 season now resulting in mediocrity, another play-in exit the likely scenario if Fox stays throughout 2025.